Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to Capsize, all Texas music.
We've been doing this for 30 years, bringing you nothing but Texas music. We hope you dig it, because we love making it.
Capsize, all Texas music.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Capsize, and this is a particularly interesting moment on Capsize, as not only are the crew veterans, and again, that was kind of the reason we started doing this show again. Today's guests are veterans. Look at this. Richard Whymark and Greg Beets in the Capsize studio. Wow. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us. This is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. This is
as
great.
Richard said, it's pretty meta, huh?
It is. It's lovely to be back here. I tell you what, man, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the career I've had in my life.
That's a beautiful thing to hear. We quote you a lot when you talked about having your education formally and then coming here and being like, I just learned more than a whole education.
Absolutely. I mean, I love UT and they have a great department, but at that time, what you were teaching us was way beyond where their classes went.
It's amazing.
And I, thanks to you, have had a career filming concerts all over the world.
You've done some amazing stuff. You were on a big streak doing those live promotion things forever. Throw out some fancy names people would know.
Fancy.
Spice Girls?
Well, yeah, well, individually. Never as a group.
Love it.
All of them individually. Mel C, Mel B, you know these ladies.
I do.
Missy Elliott, Richard Ashcroft, Deep Purple. All thanks to you, man.
Wow, man.
You taught me how to do it.
That's insane. That's insane. I bet it was James.
It was, a lot of it was James, yeah.
And so what brings you back to Austin? I hear there's a little curious people.
Yes. Well, Greg Beets here and I have written a book about what Austin was like in the 1990s, in the underground sort of DIY scene, like what you're doing. The idea was started by Chepo Pena, who was in all the bands. And it started out as a documentary film. That became overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because we interviewed, all the venue managers, all the people who worked at the venues, all the bands, all the zine writers. There was a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Interviewed you.
Yeah.
Back then it was a different world.
Austin in the 90s for a kid that was just coming out of Mississippi was fucking phenomenal, man.
We just wanted to do something that was really aggressive and really beautiful.
Anybody that I met that seemed kind of cool, I would try to see if we could start a band together.
We go from just going out and chilling and having fun and seeing bands to walking up on the stage at the Chronicle Awards and beating Austin city limits.
7 inches and college radio was how you learned about stuff.
You could go out and see incredibly talented bands every night in Austin.
I wanted to just sing, and I was a terrible trumpet player.
Oh, we're talking about the 90s?
Yes, we're talking about the 90s.
Oh, fuck you guys.
And the thing about the Blue Flamingo is there wasn't a stage. There wasn't a boundary between you and the people.
The PA was always breaking down.
We had the winner of the swinging dick contest dancing for us.
People piled up out front. Police going in and out.
All I can remember is like these hands or like these fingers from top to bottom. It was like a horror show.
The toilets were like turned upside down and the porcelain was all smashed.
Too many fists and arms and people flying around.
Eat a dick, 6,000 copies. Beat that now in punk rock standards.
He's the big star. If he wants to call it Rise and have the little Manson eyes on the covers, that's cool. I don't care one way or the other about Manson, but I'm aware it's underground cachet.
The Sound Exchange windowsill was always just really littered with all kinds of flyers, newspapers, zines, homeless people.
One night we show up at the Cavity, and there in glorious 8-inch high letters is "fuck, no reply, fag," something like that.
Ed Hall, CRUST, the Pocket Fishermen, the Wannabes, Pork,
Stretford, the Fuck Emos, Glorium, Gut, Rig, American Psycho Band, Universe, Drums and Tuba, Shindigs, Gomez.
Thank you for supporting lunch. Come on out.
Please don't turn down.
I was in London and I thought, remember that book, Please Kill Me, that's a sort of oral history of Velvet Underground and all that? Why don't we take the interviews, transcribe them, and turn them into an oral history of Austin in the 90s? I did all that and it was going along okay, but it was missing the deep, real history of the places and the zines and the radio and the TV. And so Greg here came on board as a journalist who knows everything about Austin music and is an excellent writer.
Absolutely. You brought the words together in a magical fashion, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I did what I could. You know, I mean, the magic was just getting to actually write about this era of music that was so near and dear to me, and getting to listen to the interviews with you and with all the other people who Richard and Chepo had interviewed up to that point, and then the people we interviewed since. It felt like kind of like a homecoming in a lot of ways. So it was. I don't want to say it was easy to do, but it was inspired by just all the good work that everybody had been doing during that era.
I know I felt it when you interviewed me, and I'm sure everybody lit up like a switchboard when they talked about this time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. People get very excited to think about it. And we talked to some people who are sort of the elder statesmen of the scene, and that's not disrespectful, people like Tim Kerr, Dottie Farrell, who straddle the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, and they're both still very busy in the music world. But like Tim Kerr pointed out, this doesn't start and stop, it carries on, right? You guys are still carrying on.
Absolutely.
And so we've just picked that scene because we were so involved in it, and it was a special moment. It was before the internet, it was before Austin really took off as a big tech, real estate, whatever it is now. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of underground DIY going on along Red River and on the very outskirts of town where Electric Lounge was. Mm-hmm. Remember when you had to make a hike to go to what is now Whole Foods?
Yeah. I don't even recognize where Electric Lounge was. I went by there very recently and I tried to put myself in the place. I saw the tracks, but I was like, It's
a 42-story condominium called Spring Condos.
Yes. It's sad.
It's kind of like a tornado hit it, only it was prosperity instead of widespread destruction.
Exactly, right? So what was the mindset of revisiting this era? Why'd you do it?
I think from my perspective, it felt like Austin in the 70s and Austin in the 80s had been pretty well revisited by a number of different projects, and I guess Richard was mentioning the Please Kill Me book, the Legs McNeil book, and that was certainly a totem for where we were coming from, but then also Jan Reed's book, History of Redneck Rock, going all the way back to the 70s. I mean, so we wanted to make sure that the 90s, was properly captured, and that we did have that through line between the 80s and the 90s, because like Richard was saying earlier, it was a lot of the same participants, and I think in a lot of ways in this particular scene, a lot of the cornerstones that we were sort of playing off of, like the Big Boys and the Dicks and the Butthole Surfers and those guys, we kind of saw them as a jumping off point, either stylistically or just in terms of the way they operated as a band, and in terms of ethics, the whole DIY ethic.
I am leaving today. I am leaving.
The stars are blurring, we're going fast. There is a boy there, his name is X. He says, you don't know me, but I don't know you either. Our bags are packed, we're ready to go. Our bags are packed, we're ready to go. The stars are blurring, we're going fast. We're going on a trip far away. We are leaving today. Our home is our rocket ship.
We get lost as to who was the glue and who was the paper, but it was all very sticky.
It absolutely was.
And I mean, what Greg's alluding to as well, I think, is the performance. It could be a Tuesday night, and it would be the best show ever. Not just performing as a band, but also the crazy show you bring with you. Do you remember when you had CRUST in here, in this very room?
I've tried so hard to forget.
I'm surprised you've got the stench out.
I'm not sure.
Maybe not. But I mean, things like what they were doing, which was bonkers, and he was barely clothed, and he had a young lady whipping him, and he was covered in duct tape, and the guy was playing springs instead of a bass guitar, and I don't know, there was a whole performance aspect to it.
Lighters.
He was lighting parts of his body on fire, having maybe sewn earthworms into his parts.
Whipping with roses.
Song is called Lesbian Weekend.
used to have half-naked men performing here. Can you believe
There
that?
were. I can't actually. That never happened, and
Never.
I certainly had nothing to do with that.
Actually, fully naked men, but I know for sure half-naked. So.
Yeah.
Was that Jesus or Noodle? Come on.
That would have been Noodle.
Really?
Yeah, we would occasionally, Austin was warm even back then, before climate change really took hold, and we just needed to, we needed to cool off.
I
really.
felt much warmer after you.
Come on, baby.
So, with the wealth of culture that we have in this town and that you guys got access to, I can't imagine how you've decided how to pare it down to a book, a film, and a miniseries if you did.
Right.
Like, you've got so many opportunities. What was the choices behind who to include, what to include?
Well, I mean, we know, and this isn't supposed to sound exclusionary, but we know what we're not including because, as you very well documented, there's also the Steamboat Antone's Black Cat scene.
The back room.
Back room. That's being documented.
Yeah,
really
they're doing a good one.
By Boudreaux?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's its own scene.
Yeah.
So we're not touching that because other people know that far better than we do.
Mm-hmm.
What we knew was the clubs like the Blue Flamingo, Cavity, Chances, Emos, Electric Lounge, Hole in the Wall, and to a certain extent everyone knew Liberty Lunch, right?
Yeah.
But they're in there as well because they got shut down in 1999 by a real estate deal.
Sad. Bitter.
So it kind of just seemed like that would make the book, that was the sensible bookend for the book itself, I think, was that in 1999, which, you had, and it wasn't just Liberty Lunch, you had Steamboat go down that year, and Bates Motel, which had kind of taken some of the mantle of the Blue Flamingo and the Cavity at that point. So, I guess from a writer perspective, it was nice to have all those things happen in one year because you could kind of paint it as a moment, even though we all know chronologically is just one way of framing things. So, but that was sort of why we kind of figured let's start or let's stop there, and then we thought in terms of starting, we go back to King Coffee from the Butthole Surfers, because I think when 1989 became 1990. He made a New Year's resolution to start a record label, which became Trance Syndicate, and released all these great records by Ed Hall and CRUST and 16 Deluxe and American Analog Set and many, many others. And so we write about that too. We write about the local labels, of which there was a big explosion of in the 90s.
The Lord did things that seemed evil to the people, but were good for them. And the Lord took the young bull calves and held them firmly to the ground and sawed off their horns. And then the Lord cut away their scrotums and threw their gonads upon the ground. As the young bulls screamed in terror, they came up young steers. And I believe that we must keep this tether tied to our children's minds and their education, and that when they go to school, we must apply this practice. We need sterilization for all welfare recipients. We need sterilization for repeat offenders and felons. We must go now to the grade schools. We must now take their minds and cut away the rotten flesh like some child's foreskin and cast it aside uncaringly. We must do this now for the good of our country. We must do this now for the good of the beef that we serve here on the table.
And a lot of them were based out of Sound Exchange, right?
Yes.
So for newcomers to town, if you go up Guadalupe, near UT at 21st and Guadalupe, there is a little bit of a wall being saved because that has Jeremiah the Frog, Daniel Johnston's mural on it. And that used to be our record store called Sound Exchange. When I say our, I mean that was where a lot of parts of the scene came together. There were zines being produced there. A lot of people who worked there ran their own individual record label. And then they produced 7 inches, which they had up on the wall of 7 inches in Sound Exchange.
These are all local 7 inches, and pretty much you have the CDs like equal footing. We just put them in with everything. So we didn't really have a local 7 inch section.
Not good tough. I know guys are breaking. You need a break. You need a break.
Lately it seems like
And not only did I, pay rent by selling a lot of CDs there, I was also able to film a lot of great material for our Capsize street art and other pieces for the show outside and inside that building. It was a piece of history, and it was ours, right?
There's a great interview you did with Patrick from Sound Exchange talking about, is it Puff Daddy sampling Led Zeppelin or something?
Yeah. That was our question that day, and I figured he'd have a great input on it.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? We're hanging out actually in Sound Exchange, and you might know this guy if you've ever been here. What's going on?
How's it going, guys?
It's good to be out of the heat, actually.
Oh, yeah, so anywhere it's good to be when you're out of the heat.
So we're hanging out here on the drag today, and we've got a couple questions we've been asking everybody, and I thought if anyone had an answer for this question, the man would be you. What do you think about Puff Daddy?
Oh, it's a definite confirmation of Led Zeppelin's Pact with Satan. If you look back, there were, like the story goes that the only person in Led Zeppelin that didn't sell his soul to Satan was John Paul Jones. He's remained unscathed. Robert had that wonderful solo career. Jimmy, of course, has had to do Coverdale Page, and of course now Puff Daddy. You have fun in the 70s, but then Satan wants his payback.
Satan always gets his due.
He does. He plays hard, drops a hard bargain.
So, the book is the focus. You have an event coming up?
Right now. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a few things going on. So we've got the book release on October the 21st at the Downtown Library at 7 p.m. So if you're in Austin, Downtown Library, 7 p.m. October 21st. And then Greg has put together a rock show.
Greg put together a rock show?
Put together, a little... it was, again, just I think we wanted to try to come up with a way of celebrating the book by, showcasing both some of the old and the new. So, because a lot, like you, a lot of these folks are still very much active in the scene in various capacities. And so on October 28th over at the Parlor, we're going to have a show with, we're going to have an invocation from Mike Henry from the Electric Lounge and the Austin, champion Austin Slam poet.
Love it.
Ed Hamill on Trial. He's going to be there to serenade us a little bit, and then we're going to have the John Pauls, a newer band featuring members of some of the older bands like the Paranoids and Teen Titans and Living Pens with Carrie Clark from 16 Deluxe and Pam Peltz from Ursa Major.
Yeah, I loved Ursa Major, man.
Yeah, and then Yard Work, some of the Motards and Slum City people are going to be. So, and then we do have some legitimate old school bands. We have Jesus Christ Superfly still kicking it in 2023, and then Gomez, the Austin version.
Yes.
So Gomez parentheses ATX, and then Glorium.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah. So I'm still. I think that I'm a little afraid about the whole stage management thing. I'm still working out backline and everything, and making sure that everybody will be able to get on and off quickly and all that good stuff. But it's great that all these folks are coming out, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot of old friends and listen to some good music. I
propose you get a stage manager shirt that says "Sure, fuck it."
Yeah, maybe I'll do that after when it's all said and done. That'll be my my final little movement.
There's a creeping in the attic. I'm pretty sure it's a squirrel. Told me, tried to tell me it's a possum. I hope not. That thing's scary as hell. It's tough to get up in the attic. Since them men went up and screwed them things so tight. But I'ma go up there and get it. Yeah, I packed a knife, a bat, and a big black light over my head in the night. When everything's supposed to be still, I can hear them scratching around in the wall, turning over in my head like a wheel. There's a creeping in the attic. I'm pretty sure it's a squirrel. Told me, tried to tell me it's a possum. I hope not. Them things are scary as hell. Gnawing away at my sleep, scratching away at my mind. Couldn't call for that tree. He's about to reach the end of the line. You know, I saw one yesterday laying down there by the side of the drive. I suppose they die all the time or pretend to anyway. I really hope he was mine.
An homage to the era.
Exactly. Yeah, the past is a bridge to the current, and the current is a bridge to the future, man. This is all very relevant.
There you go. Yeah.
So a curious mix of people available everywhere?
It's currently available at the UT Press website, but it's going to be available everywhere as of October 17th.
17th is the street date, and you can still. I think it's already in some select stores in Austin. I think, yeah, yeah. I think
At the time of the viewing, you'll get it everywhere.
But I think, by then, I think hopefully it'll be spread out, and maybe even in the UK. Thanks to this guy.
It's for sale in the UK for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
And what are the next steps for? Are we seeing film, video? What's going on next?
Well, it was going to originally be one documentary film. That was, too simple. Can't do that. So it's turned into a series. I've pretty much completed The Cavity, which was fun because you get to see footage of Gigi Allen doing various things on stage.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Blue Flamingo film kind of dives back into sound exchange and Sweatbox and the garage scene that was going on as well.
Awesome.
And then also because the Blue Flamingo was a cross-dressing club as well as a punk club, it goes into the sexuality part of the scene that was pretty open and fluid and amazing.
Yeah.
And then I'm working one on Chances, speaking of sexuality,
Yes.
the former lesbian bar that's where Cheer Up Charlie's is now, and then one on emos, because, of course.
It really was a no-rules establishment, and after a year, when he and Jimmy left, it became a free-for-all. It was just basically, how long before I get kicked out?
Right. It was a lot of work for one person to deal with, so he said, fuck it.
Yeah,
let it fly.
We weren't
Whatever
making any money
happens,
after that
happens.
point. Emos had taken everything that we'd worked on and taken it.
When I came to Austin is where I really looked for a music venue. And what happened was a lot of bands that played in Houston were always telling me about how Austin's great and how it'd be so cool if there was an emos in Austin. And we were able to find this location here in Red River. It had been sitting empty for a long time.
It was awesome, man. I mean, Red River was nothing after the 750 portion of the block.
No, there wasn't even anything on
There was
6th
no
Street. There was no
Stubbs,
6th Street.
Emos wasn't there.
When we first opened up, that, if you got the best bet in the Chronicle, that guaranteed at least 100 and 200 people. Next door to Cavity Club was like the true punk rock place, and they were, bring your own beer. There was, guys living there as the squatters, but those were great guys.
We never had like a bad relationship with emos.
Wow.
I worked at a sign company, Ion Art. When they were scouting Austin out for a place, they came to Ion Art for a sign. Greg comes over and he's like, these guys are your competition. And explained to me, they're opening a club like 2 doors down from you, and it's a punk rock club. I was like, no shit. So I walked over and I was like, hey guys, I own a place called The Cavity.
Town was ripe for it.
Yeah, that was, we're just down from, and they're like, oh yeah, hi, yeah, we know of you guys. And so it started a good rapport with them. And they said, we're hoping that we have no impact on you. We think that it'll be a good combination. So had the potential to work out, didn't.
Emos was really supportive. That was the other thing about it, is that it wasn't seen as a competition. They saw The Cavity as a place to find new bands, and then bands would make the transition from The Cavity to emos. And so it was really a pretty cool situation.
The landlord, he was a good old boy. So when I first came in here, I told him what I wanted to do. We had to kind of dance around a bit because he asked me one time, that sounds like a gay club. I'm like, no, it's going to be a music venue. I didn't really want to use the term punk rock or that because it made him nervous. But I do remember the first time he walked in, he saw the artwork. He was kind of like, this is a lot different, but that's what happened.
It's dark and the walls are painted black and have like bondage cartoons depicted on the walls and beer stains everywhere. Bathrooms that just reek of piss and beer and stale cigarette butts. It's a nice homey club.
Emos had like all these artists do some really cool stuff. Alex Abel has just done some sick, demented stuff. Painted this clown in like a rainbow wig and the nose, holding a lollipop, giving it to this little kid who's just like, oh, lollipop.
The first weekend was, I remember Agony Column. We had a line around the block, so that was a good kickstart to everything, and that's how it just kind of went from there.
We're in basically the mecca of the music scene in Austin in the 90s. I mean, there was Liberty Lunch, there was Club Cairo, there was the Cave Club, which became the Elysian, and there was tons of clubs around town, but it wasn't until emos opened up that there was a central place.
Emos came in '92. So right when I moved here, it was pretty much either we saw shows at the Union, at the Hole in the Wall, at the Cannibal Club, or at Liberty Lunch. Those were the places to go.
I first got up here as Bad Mother Goose, which is Tim Kerr's legendary, that the whole, Texas funk. They were here, Ed Hall, You know, and then it just kind of progressed with the trance record bands and all that, where all that kind of that psychedelic, you know, I can't really categorize it as, you know, beautiful noise.
CRUST were insane. They had parts of performance art, they had industrial aspects of their music, but it's kind of grounded in like noise and punk rock, and I think it was a very Texan creation too. And it's just a very unique band, and kind of what I was saying the Buttle Surfers, what the Buttles were doing as far as like this kind of weird performance Texas freak art, CRUST were doing it, so I was definitely sympathetic to what they were doing because they were just out there. Nothing made sense, yet it all worked enough for them. They were a truly unique band.
Emos, when they opened, it was free to get in if you're 21, and it was what, $5 if you're under 21. And when it went up to $2 for under 21, we went home directly and wrote the angriest rant ever about this is bullshit. I don't know what they think they're doing, but they're certainly not supporting art. And like, you know, just we were outraged. No, but I'm sure I was there the next night, you know.
Prices went up because of bands. Bands all started having these ridiculous guarantees. They all started wanting deli platters. That's not DIY. That's not punk rock. That's not that. You're hook, line, and sinker. You're just another Led Zeppelin, Who, whatever now, because you're now part of this whole conglomerate.
It always shocked me. I'm like, God, how are they even paying bands? Like, but they did. And they paid him well.
Emos is great, man. You know, you could play that big old fucking stage. But, you know, it was kind of weird, dude. I remember, like, you know, we'd have that place packed out on, like, that big-ass stage, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the night, Justin would come up to us and be like, here's your $300. And we were like, whoa, $300? We're fucking rolling in the dough, you know? Like, it didn't occur to me until years later, like, $300? That's not cool, man. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, hey, love you, Justin. But whatever, dude, like.
I don't know when I'm going to finish those, but, you know.
I hope you live forever so they never stop and you just keep finding niches and places that you forgot.
Well, and then people keep coming up with footage. Like Sarah Carlson was documenting everything at the time.
Yeah. And
then we've got a series of zines as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think
amazing.
Now that this is out, the more, I mean, we've done this and we've kind of bookended it here, but we keep learning more and more about it.
Yeah.
And so I think as long as we're learning and as long as people are interested in it, we're going to try to get all this stuff out there because it definitely deserves to be preserved in some meaningful way.
I love it. Here's to the youth.
Indeed.
We'll hobble along and show you what it's all about, children.
Yeah.
Richard Whymark, Greg Beets, can't forget Chepopin behind the scenes with the Curious
He did this
people.
cover.
He did the
amazing cover.
That's amazing, right? That collage. The collage itself, I don't know if you can see this, the collage is actually this big.
Wow.
And he sent that to UT Press and they picked this and put the text across it.
Yeah.
But he's still adding to it until he turns it into a poster.
I love it.
He's amazing, man.
That's beautiful.
Guy's a genius.
Got some souls in my time.
thank you for visiting Capsize.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure to have had you on again. And
we're going to have a gorilla attack real quick, just to make sure that we understand who this man is.
Yeah.
Capsize, All Texas Music crew member, Gorilla Man.
DIY for life, you guys.
Indeed.
A curious mix of people. Check it out. Thanks for watching Capsize. Thanks again to fellows for popping out.
Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you.
Got it, man. Thank you.
Ugly boy, where you going to Friday night? Oh yeah, I sit and wonder by the radio. Ugly girl, where you going to Friday night? Oh yeah, I sit and wonder where you gonna go. Looks like you finally got to ya. Nothing to change it for you, yeah.
having health insurance to me is kind of like a second chance at my age. Like, I've barely made it with resources I've had through my life, and I've taken what I could afford in health insurance, and the benefits of HAM allowing me to get a better health insurance plan for myself allows me to treat and deal with things that, whether I've had existing things or whether I'm facing things as I get older, to get in the right frame of mind, to get it taken care of and have more years, happier years.
There's times whenever I have gotten sick, and before I had coverage, I used to just like power through it and take all the over-the-counter meds and be sick for a month. And I no longer have to do that. I can go to a doctor when I'm sick and pay like a small copay, $10, $20, instead of like, I don't know, just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping everything's gonna be okay because America. Yeah, don't get me started. Okay.
Probably it's not to not be afraid to ask a lot of questions, because that's what I do for my elderly father, so I should probably do the same for myself.
HAM has helped me on my health care journey by making sure that I do not need for anything pertaining to being well. But not just taken care of, but taken care of comfortably. And that's, I don't know of any other town that has that other than Austin, and God bless HAM. I can unequivocally say that HAM has saved my life. Just being scared and not knowing what my next move is going to be, but knowing that I could go see a professional to help me take care of what I needed and answer those questions that I won't remember, that they print out for me that I can take to my wife, you know? So they have saved my life. They have made my life better. It almost messes with your head a little bit because we chose to be musicians. We didn't choose to have a job where you have the 401k and you have medical, you know, but it was a calling. And to have people who believe in the arts and in us so much that we are actually taken care of is nothing short of a miracle. And I do believe that HAM is one of the small miracles in my life, because of the fact that I know that I'm not the only one. Food, medical bills, transportation if I need it, just all the things that HAM does. I had to learn how to quit saying we don't deserve it, or that I don't deserve it, because we all deserve it. And I'm just grateful and very fortunate that HAM is in my life. And I thank God for them every day. Hey everybody, my name is Nathan Olivares of the band Stupid Drama, and I am a HAM musician.
I'm Dave, you're watching Capsize, originating out of Austin Films, Austin Public Facility in East Austin. We do it weekly. It's live music. It's music that you can't see anywhere else. It's all about DIY, 3 decades and moving forward, y'all. If you want to get your band on the show, it's easy. My Linktree has all my contact. I'm also CapZeyeZ@yahoo.com. You can reach out to us online. If you see us in public, he goes out to a lot of shows. I go occasionally. You can hit us up and come play on the show. How does it, as a musician, coming to play on TV, what did you think in '91?
I think that we've been doing this a really long time and we got it down. We got it down so well that we can make you look good.
Well, look at us.
Right. We look great, bro.
Hey, it's Capsize. It's us. We bring you everything you see. It's all local, local crew, local TV, local music.
Harlot has been bringing in quite a few people. They've been playing on Friday and Saturday nights, and Outlaw Circus has been bringing in some people, Carnival of Sin, and then we still have our bigger names happening like Hush Scarlet and Pariah and Near Dark. So really, I have to say that we have a lot of good talent happening out there right now.
Yo, mama.
Hey, boss. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
I said I'm fine.
Since I was little, it was only like me and my parents. You think you created family out of characters? Yeah, of course. I'm gonna take that, make it into a song.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at on the way out? In my head, in my head, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.